This right here next to me is the Acer Predator X34P. When it comes to ultra-wide gaming monitors, this is the king of them all. What's up guys, my name is Carl and welcome to Tech Hunter. On this channel I check out a lot of PC hardware as well as other day-to-day tech to make your life that little bit easier. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So let me introduce you to Mufasa. This gaming monitor for me is the undisputed king of them all, and just like Simba's beloved father, it's also unlikely to survive a wildebeest stampede. But that doesn't mean there's still not a lot to love about this monitor. I'll run you through the specs. It's rocking a 1900R curved 34-inch 3440 by 1440 21:9 IPS panel, overclockable up to 120Hz refresh rate, has a 4 millisecond response time, covers 100% of the sRgb color gamut, topped off with NVIDIA G-Sync technology. But most importantly, it also comes equipped with RGB LED lighting too. Sounds pretty good, right? Now that I've piqued your interest, we'll cover the more boring but practical stuff first, then move on to the nicer features of this monitor. If I miss anything, feel free to ask me in your comments down below, because I might just get a bit distracted and start talking about all the pretty and fancy stuff instead of the practical side of things. First things first, the giant aluminium stand. For starters, it takes up half of my desk. It's encroached onto my fixed position giant mouse mat and peripherals. When I had my old monitors, they were all wall mounted, so it didn't matter where I fixed my keyboard and mouse. But with this one, I wanted to keep the stand and make use of the nice features it offers. But it's absolutely massive, stealing 309mm of my 600mm desk, and as a result has led me to look at deeper desks, which is not what I planned. As well as other dimensions, the monitor works out to be about 825mm wide and a maximum of 586mm in height whilst on the stand. I mentioned earlier that the stand does have some redeeming features though, and that is the ability to tilt, swivel and height adjust. It also has a handle on the back of it to help with lifting and a small void for cable routing. One thing I have noticed since moving from wall-mounted displays back to one that's on a stand is that there is quite a bit of screen wobble whilst typing. This could be down to my desk more than the monitor. As far as aesthetics go, and as they're concerned, I'd say it's a fairly low-key look for a gaming monitor. If you turn off the RGB lighting and look past the giant Predator logo, it looks fairly low-key, and it wouldn't look too out of place in an office or living space. Also, if the rear of your monitor is visible and not against a wall, for example, like mine, some of you will be glad to know that the X34P has a brushed black plastic back and no longer a glossy exterior like some earlier iterations of the X34, so it's fingerprint free. Nearly. As far as I/O is concerned though, this monitor packs plenty of it. It's got a DisplayPort, a HDMI port, USB pass-through which adds 4 extra USB 3.0 ports to your setup, and even a headphone jack, which you never know, you might actually need to use one day. It also has integrated 7-watt stereo speakers, which are useful more than impressive. Continuing the trend of not much fun to getting slightly more interesting, let's move on to the menus. On the rear side of the monitor, there are 4 buttons, the top being the power button, and the next 3 buttons require a double press to do anything. The second from top will take you to your viewing modes, preset color modes like Eco, Graphics, Movie, as well as some built-in modes Acer have added for specific games, like racing and that kind of stuff. The third button is for adjusting screen brightness, the fourth button is for switching between your inputs, be it DisplayPort or HDMI, and the last red one is the main control knob, what you'll need to use to work your way through the menus. A double tap on the red knob will give you access to a wealth of other menus, including picture, color, audio, gaming, on-screen display, and system. This is where you can control the volume of those integrated speakers I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to cover everything, but there are some useful features I'd like to point out. The first one being Dark Boost, which enhances all of the dark areas of your screen, like the blacks, and basically increases the gamma a bit more to make things in the dark easier to see. So when you're gaming, you can spot that person hiding in a dark tunnel to give you that extra advantage. If you're heading to the gaming menu, this is where you can adjust your refresh rate up to 120Hz. And also if you want to cheat, you can turn on an integrated reticule to your monitor to help with those no-scopes. Then moving into the system menu, I recommend turning on quick start mode, which basically means your monitor skips the Acer Predator splash screen and just turns on quicker. Win-win. This is also with the same menu where you can adjust the RGB LEDs on the monitor. There is no software, it's all built into the hardware, and you can choose your various colors as well as breathing and flashing and fixed color modes, as well as having the color of the LEDs match your screen color, like I usually tend to, or having it reflect your MNT status. Red meaning G-Sync is on, white meaning G-Sync is off. A little pointless really. You can also enable power over USB charge here too for use with your smartphone. Now let's talk about what it's like to use this monitor each day. The width of this monitor makes doing two things at once a breeze. You can easily type up your scripts / ideas for your YouTube videos on one side of the display, whilst leaving a nice healthy amount on the other side for watching your favorite YouTube videos or browsing the internet or that kind of stuff. You get an incredible amount of workspace in the Microsoft Office applications. Excel is always a funny one to look at. For video editing, your timeline is even longer, which saves scrolling along it or zooming in and out as often for me, which makes a big difference. And upgrading from a TN panel to an IPS panel for me will also help improve the colors of my videos, hopefully. Now onto gaming. Coupling the 120Hz refresh rate with a G-Sync display at this high resolution offers a seriously smooth and enjoyable experience. Upcoming 4K 144Hz monitors are also likely to impress, but you'll need a powerhouse of a GPU to get anywhere near that for gaming. But this Predator X34 though, X34P, is so much more immersive with that curved display. Wrapping around your eyeballs makes it seriously hard not to get truly gripped when gaming on this monitor. FPS titles are so much more enjoyable, and I feel kind of more eager to play them with this monitor. I never really got that into them before, but with my old display, I was more compelled to play lazy games where there was not too much competition. But with this new monitor, I feel like I'm ready to compete and genuinely feel like I've improved at FPS titles like CSGO, for example, since acquiring this monitor. So the final thing to discuss is the price. In the UK, this monitor costs just under £1,000. At £950, this monitor costs as much as a nice 50-inch 4K HDR QLED TV. Something that the whole family and friends can enjoy and experience. But this is all about you, making you feel more immersed, making games smoother, making multitasking easier, making colors pop right into your eyes. If you want to save some money, there are options with a VA panel instead of a more color accurate IPS. Or if you have an AMD GPU, you can pick up a FreeSync option to save a bit more. Or even look at a lower resolution 2560 by 1080. But if you want the absolute best with your NVIDIA GPU, there's not much else out there. The only other option being the more expensive Alienware AW3418DW. So, to sum up, there's a lot of people out there that are happy to spend hundreds of pounds or dollars on VR, on water cooling, on RGB lighting, on nice keyboards, mice. Monitors are not something to be overlooked. When you're on your PC, you can't get anything done without a monitor. So make it the best you can. That's my logic anyway, and I hope to make plenty of use of this monitor in the coming years. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the video. Remember guys, as always, if you like this kind of stuff, feel free to click that like button. If you didn't, click that dislike button. Leave your comments down below, let me know what you thought about today's video. And if you decide my face hasn't offended you, don't forget to click that subscribe button so we can see each other again soon. Anyway guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.